Mr. Woodruff, you've tested positive for HIV. Have you ever used intravenous drugs? Have you ever engaged in homosexual conduct?
Homo. You say homo? You made a mistake, because that ain't me.
Mr. Woodruff, we estimate you have 30 days left.
And newsflash for y'all. There ain't nothing out there can kill Ron Woodruff in 30 days. Them drugs, they just released for testing, and I know this hospital's one of the size. I need it.
It doesn't work that way, Mr. Woodruff.
So again, we are in the middle of Oscar season here. We're going to be talking about Dallas Buyers Club, the new film starring Matthew McConaughey and Jared Leto. The film is about the true story of Ron Woodruff, who was a man diagnosed with AIDS in the 80s, and his mission to get the victims of this disease the proper medication they needed that the U.S. would not approve. We are in the middle of Oscar season, and a lot of these movies are going to be showing off their performances, and Dallas Buyers Club is no exception. The two main performances in this movie are incredible, and they make the movie what it is. Matthew McConaughey as Ron Woodruff may be the best role I've seen him in. He lost, of course, 90 pounds. And he really inhabits the character. He really just transforms, and I didn't feel like I was watching Matthew McConaughey, which is something that is hard to do because Matthew McConaughey is a pretty big presence, pretty well-known guy, and I just bought him as this, redneck, frustrated drug addict guy that was going through a hard time, and also Jared Leto, who plays his business partner, the transvestite Rayon. He was great as well. Another just complete transformation. And one of the things that I really loved about this movie was the relationship between those two and how it starts off and how it ends, because Ron Woodruff's character is a homophobe, and while I can't say that he completely changes throughout the movie, their relationship from where it started was very interesting to where it ended. That brings up another good point, because one of the things that was really fascinating about this movie was how it showed the ignorance of people to this disease at the time, because when he's diagnosed, he's basically thinking that the doctor thinks he's gay, because at that time a lot of people thought that only gay people got the AIDS virus. And just the amount of ignorance and the way people were so uninformed at that time to how it is now was really, really interesting to me. And I think the director does a really good job of balancing the tone of this movie, because of course this is a very dark, very saddening story, and I think the director does a good job of not making it too sad. That has a lot of good use of music that kind of lightens the tone, and I never thought it was too sappy or too emotional or was taking the material too lightly. Fortunately, some of the director's choices really bogged this movie down for me, and one of them actually being the editing, which I didn't really notice until the second half. But in the second half, there's all these emotional moments and all these relationships kind of building, and a lot of these relationships kind of ending due to certain circumstances, and just the ways that the film was edited in the second half is that it seemed like they would cut off too quickly, and what that would do was none of the really big emotional moments in the second half really hit me, because the director just didn't let the camera play. He really just cut off too soon, not really letting the emotion hit. And there's, a couple big deaths in the second half of major characters that you're really supposed to care about. It's supposed to be, a dramatic moment. And even though I was connected to these characters, really the editing just cut off that emotional spark for me, and that kind of bogged the movie down in the second half. Because of that, it's not that you're less invested in the characters through the last half of this movie. You're just not completely invested as you were in the first half, and the film doesn't move as quickly, and really editing can make a big difference, and unfortunately that's what happened here. But fortunately for Dallas Buyers Club, the two main performances are so good, and you'll definitely see Oscar nominations for both Matthew McConaughey and Jared Leto, because they're both just absolutely outstanding. Dallas Buyers Club keeps from being a traditional Oscar movie, even though it has a lot of problems in the second half, like I was saying. But because of the performances, and because I feel like the movie for the most part did its job very well, I will give Dallas Buyers Club 3.5 stars out of 5. I don't think it's something you have to rush out to see in the theaters, but once it comes out on DVD, or if you see it at a matinee, I think it's definitely worth your time. That's my review of Dallas Buyers Club. Let me know what you thought of it. Did you think that the movie was bogged down by the editing like I did? or do you think that the movie was fine as it was? And do you think that both of these actors have a strong chance of getting a statue come February? So if you like this review, please subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys later.
Man, I got one life. Wanted to mean something.
Just let me be your ticket home.